guys, and welcome back to my channel. Um, I know that it's been almost a month since I last uploaded, in a whole 3 weeks. Um, and I apologize for that. It's kind of been a shit show the last few weeks for me. Mentally, I'm sure we're all aware why. We all have access to the news, but also just some personal stuff going on. But I'm back for these 3 episodes. The season finale is upon us. So today you're gonna get a 3-for-1 special where I'm gonna talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9 because this Sunday is the final episode of the season, which we're gonna get into. I don't even know how I feel about that, and there's no telling when we'll get the next season, even though they've been greenlit for it, which is also supposed to be another 10 episodes. With the whole shutdown thing happening, but things are slowly starting to open up. I'm hoping that they've already started writing on it. Maybe they haven't, I don't know. But yeah, so as you can see, it's a little bit different. I finally got a makeup chair and my cart here with my makeup next to me, so while I do these reviews, I will be doing my makeup. So let's get started, shall we?
Drifting away, ain't nothing left but some rhymes and decay. Gave it my best in the lines in a fray. Roving through stress, but my mind it betrays. Gone with the wind, walking.
Okay, so episode 7 is primarily about Molly. It does not feature anyone else in here. Issa and Nathan make like a quick appearance, but they're not like pertinent to the episode. So this episode picks off where episode 6 left off, where Issa was heading into the Ethiopian restaurant only to see Molly sitting there and decides to leave. So I know some people were curious, like, did she see her or not? We know for a fact now that she did in fact see Issa. And she's like ordering food before Issa shows up and can't make up her mind, which goes to speak to just how Molly is and complaining. But she sees Issa. She sees Issa coming in the store, so she's like, "Oh, here we go." She takes her phone out, pretends to text. You know, when you're trying to set the scene, you know somebody, you spot somebody, but you're trying not to make it obvious. But she is disappointed only to see that Issa has actually turned around and gotten back in her car and left, which I was confused about because so the attitude Molly is giving is that she wants Issa to apologize first, but somehow I don't know, I guess it just speaks to how delusional she is, that she truly doesn't believe she's done anything wrong, because she's genuinely, shocked that Issa walked away. And let's be real, like, they're both wrong, but you ruined the girl's event that just happened a few days ago and, like tried to humiliate her at her own event. I think they were both saying some things that were hurtful, but Issa, I feel like, only said mean shit in response to, like, Molly, and even when she was asking her what the real issue was, like, Molly couldn't put into words why she was actually upset at Issa. So after getting the food, she goes home to Andrew, who I believe is on the phone with his brother. And for everyone that is curious, Andrew is speaking Mandarin. I know this, I want to say from a behind the scenes. No, I could either Alexander Hodges' Instagram or his Twitter. I feel like it was his Twitter that popped up where he was talking about how his not speech therapist, maybe it is a speech therapist, but the person assisting him with his accent, or I guess language coach or whatever, is another comedian's father. I can't think of his name at the moment. I think his last name is something O. He's a stand-up comedian. You've probably seen him. He's kind of like a bowl cut. He's Asian as well. Yeah, so he's speaking to his brother. He hangs up because he sees that Molly's coming. He asks her what happened. Molly, because she's upset, Molly tells him that she just saw Issa at the restaurant, and then he asked her if she spoke to her. She said no, she ran away from me like I was a job, which that was mean and unnecessary. And also, I feel like shows why, like, it speaks to Molly's character. Like, you're still taking jabs at the girl. She didn't speak to you, she walked away. Like, it could have been came in and made it into more drama stuff, but she's just being like rude and nasty for no reason. But she ends up stopping herself to change the subject, so that they can talk about their upcoming trip to Mexico. And she ends up getting a message or email, I believe, from her job telling her that she has a meeting in the morning before she leaves. So they have a quick convo about that. Andrew seems to be pretty chill about it in comparison to the last time when we seen them talk about work, because I guess they're working it out and he's more understanding. Well, I shouldn't say more understanding, because I feel like Andrew's been understanding the whole time. Molly's just kind of oblivious sometimes and doesn't know how to read the room. So she comes into work. She asks her assistant, like, why am I just now hearing about this email at the last minute? And her assistant's like, I'm sorry. I had the email earlier, but everything's been kind of crazy and hectic with work. And Molly stops her to be like, well, basically that's not an excuse. You are paid to represent me, and any slip-ups that you do will reflect on me, not you, as the person in the higher position. And I understood what Molly was saying. I just don't think I cared for her delivery. But I also understand, like, corporate world is just different. Speaking to people kind of like crummy sometimes is just the culture, unfortunately. And I could also understand how she is a black woman in this in a high level, high power attorney. So she has a standard to set, because black people, we are used to being questioned, right? Like, people don't believe our gift outright. We have to prove time and again. Even if we deliver every time, that one day that you slip up will be the one time that everybody remembers. So I think maybe it just came off extra harsh, possibly because her assistant is also a woman, a black woman. So it's just kind of like, ew, I don't like it. But her assistant seems to take it in stride, just says, you're right, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. And they move on immediately to her next, to I guess the topic at hand about this case that she's preparing for. Which I get, because Molly's like, look, I'm trying to go on this vacation, not really trying to look at this office, and this is getting in my way. So the next scene cuts to her running through the airport trying to meet up with Andrew, who she's on the phone with, trying to take directions. And she's kind of awful at it. Andrew's very confused, like, why are you running the opposite way? But she ends up, she bumps into him. He asks her why she was late. Apparently her Uber driver was an 80-year-old man who talked way too much and kept talking about how he used to sleep with Loretta Devine. So that was interesting. They end up on the plane. Andrew asks for all the benefits that come with his flight. And somebody pointed out, which I didn't think of till later, that because we don't know the actual timeline of how long they've been dating, but someone said it was possible that Andrew already had the trip booked with his brother. He just added Molly as an add-on later on, which I thought was pretty interesting, and wonder what was the dynamic on that, considering the fact they didn't fly first class, and Molly seems like a very snobby type of girl who would be like first class only. From there, they bump into Kim Fields, and Kim Fields is crying, which I didn't notice, maybe because I just don't pay attention to the media too much, because I know she was on Housewives for a little bit, and I feel like I have gotten a tan. My forehead and my nose are a little dark. How long has Kim Fields' hair been short? Didn't she have locks at one point? And I know she was wearing wigs, at least I thought she was, but her haircut looks cute. I guess I had got so accustomed to seeing her one way that it took me by surprise to see that she had chopped her hair off. It looks good though. But she's crying. about how, like, asking them, like, oh, is this plane going to Mexico? And they're like, yeah, we're all going to Mexico. And she's like, you know, I got on the wrong plane once, and I got into the wrong marriage once. And she was like, not again. I forgot what she said her husband's name was or how long they've been married, but she was like, I got a divorce. I'm on day 3. So I guess this is her trying to reclaim her time by being on this trip. So they get all the supplies that they ask for. They're being flirty. They end up hooking up on the plane. They get there to Mexico. They meet Lydia and Victor, who is Andrew's brother and sister-in-law. Lydia is aggressively complimentary towards Molly, which is a little weird for Molly and for me, because I've met people like that, and it does make you uncomfortable when they're like that. You're like, I can't tell if this is real or not, and I'm not really sure what the right response is when someone talks to you like that. But Victor, you can kind of tell right off the bat he's annoying, because they said that they're tired and they're trying to stay in. But Victor is adamant about, like, trying to slide in and add stuff to their schedule. Oh, I'm going to color correct. I'm like, what is my next step? For the love of Pete. So they're like, Andrew, which I like because I forgot to mention this, but when they were on the plane, Molly's trying to convince Andrew, like, you know, I know we're supposed to have all these plans with your brother and his wife, but, you know, maybe we can cancel and stay inside. Andrew's like, yeah, we could do that, but Victor's pretty good at planning stuff, and that's the whole point of this vacation, you know, trying to reason with her. Molly takes it back, to her credit. She's like, you know what, you're right, I don't want to overstep my bounds, it's cool, we can go. But Andrew actually takes up for her and is like, no, we're not coming out. He does not mention to Victor's brother that it's Molly who wants to do it. He just stands firm in it. They end up back at their hotel. Excuse me, I'm sorry guys, like, I know I keep looking around. It's because I just reorganized my makeup, so I'm still, like, trying to remember where I've put everything. Where was I? Oh, so they end up going to the hotel. Molly reveals that she has brought lingerie, which was funny because I feel like because it's understood you're on a vacation, like, lingerie wasn't the only thing that you should have brought. I don't know, I feel like, I don't know, I guess Molly came off kind of boring a little bit than we anticipated, which Andrew's completely, like, embarrassed by, because he ends up bringing a whole bunch of sex toys. And Molly's just like, oh man, I should have brought that feather because it was on sale. But he's like, you know, it's okay. Like, we don't have to use all this stuff. But they do agree that on this vacation, the whole point is for them to find out which each other likes. And, you know, Molly admits, like, you know, I like what we did on the plane. He's like, what, is it because we could have, you like being watched? And she's like, no, it's because the thrill of almost getting caught. So he's like, I like when you take control, which is interesting, right? Because we kind of, I feel like, low-key have been like, well, what does Andrew see in Molly? But that makes sense. You know, she does take charge. She's the leader. She knows what she likes, and she's very vocal about what she likes and what she doesn't like. So Andrew finds that attractive. So they end having a conversation. She's like, you know, I like this. And I want you to, we should have sex on the balcony, which is exactly what they end up doing. And I'm very upset because this is not a sponge. This is a piece of foam. Like, I just put this in the water to, like, get it wet. It did absolutely nothing. They end up having sex on the balcony. It cuts to after that with them meeting Victor and Lydia at the top of the hill. Because they said that they might come back out. Come to find out, they did not go back out at all. They ended up staying in and hooking up the whole night, which makes complete sense because you're on a vacation with your significant other. This relationship is new. So, hey, Victor and Lydia are already married. We don't know how often they go on vacation or if this is a regular occurrence for them, but whatever. So, I'm going to switch sponges because I'm disappointed. Like, truly disappointed that is a freaking, like, piece of foam. Like, what a waste of money. I could have just bought craft sponges if that was what I wanted to use. Thank goodness I bought another, like, beauty blender. yeah, so they what is it? They meet them for this hike, and you know, I'm all about the outdoors. I like going for walks and stuff like that, but he said it was a 3 mile hike, which is fine, right? Because I'm able to do, I think, walk like 2 miles in like 45 minutes. It's not a whole lot of time, but when they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna jog it, I was like, okay, now you've lost me. The way my knees and my asthma is set up, we will not be jogging the entire 3 miles. I can give you like maybe a good 10 to 15 minute jog. That's cool, but the entire like 3 miles, y'all are wilding. But I mean, they seem like they're all in great shape, so I'm sure they were fine. And they make it to the top, and Miley kind of has like a moment of realization, like, oh, okay, I get it. This was worth it. The view is beautiful. It makes complete sense why you'd want to come all the way up here. And I think it's good for her, because I think Molly's she's so accustomed to doing things the way that she wants to do them, that she struggles with seeing things from other people's viewpoints. And I think Victor is annoying and controlling as he comes off, I think was good for her in this instance, because she was able to just take a back seat and just show up. And I think she's never had to do that before. So I think trusting Andrew that Victor had the right, know-all to just show up and enjoy the trip, I think benefited her, because she was able to just see the result of when you just relax and just enjoy life for what it is. So that was cool. And she does tell Andrew, like, when they're done, like, you're right. I'm glad I listened to Victor. But the funny part is, like, when they get to the top of the hill finally, and they're, like, making fun of them, like, oh, you took forever, which they also run into Kim Fields again, who's also on this hike. She's like, how are we gonna get back down? And they make them zip line. Now, I want to try zip lining because it's always looked interesting to me, but I don't know if I could ever do it at that height that they were at. That to me looked crazy. But props to Molly, because I thought for sure she would have been like, oh, hell no. But the fact that she was able to just, throw caution to the wind and just participate, which I thought was really good of her. So, yeah, they end up having a chat about later on, because I think it cuts to them being in their hotel room, and she's calling him Andy. Now, I might just be deaf, and I know he told her, maybe he called him Andy when he walked up to him. I didn't catch it, but I was confused as to why Molly randomly started calling Andrew Andy. I might have to just go back and watch it. I tried to watch all of these episodes at least twice. I don't know how people remember everything, the details that happen off the top of their head. I am not that girl, but I try my hardest, and I try to take notes for you guys, so I remember these things. Plus, I listen to like the podcasts and different reviews, so I don't know if you guys listen to the Insecurity podcast with Crystal and Hey Friend Hey, but I listen to that one because it drops soon as they do a new episode of Insecure. And they've been doing it since the start of the series. And it's really good because Crystal is really good at pointing out Easter eggs. And Fran is really good at analyzing, like, the emotional background stuff. So it's good to listen to the two of them go back and forth, because I guess the difference between, like, me doing a review or you watching someone else do a review, it's nice to have a second opinion on what is happening. So you're listening to friends having a dialogue about it. So that's cool. I'm trying to think, where does it lead off from there? Yes, so after their zip lining, you see them out on the town. They go for drinks, they're dancing. Andrew and Molly look really adorable, and I really like that, like, mint colored two-piece that they put Andrew in, and it looks like his hair is grown out a little bit. I like the little flick. It makes him look a little more boyish and, like, kind of a bad boy instead of just so corporate, because I know he had to cut his hair for another role. I think he was playing a cop or something. That's why he chopped off the man bun. Oh, yeah, so they're back at their hotel room. They're going over the day. Andrew sees that he has 3 missed calls from Nathan. So he calls Nathan. Nathan is at his house. He's having trouble with the garage. You hear Issa in the background, which I feel like is not an accident. I feel like Issa knew that he was calling Andrew and that Molly was with him, and she made a point to make a noise in the background because Issa's petty. So this next part I really didn't care for because I feel like Molly has a very terrible habit of not knowing how to read the room, where she makes a comment of being like, of course Issa's back with Nathan. And she was like, she's always talking about how messy I am, but look at her. Now, I feel like she's reading too much into it because if I remember correctly, throughout this season, I mean, you know what, let me take that back because Issa did make some comments about Molly and saying that, you know, she's gonna fuck up things with Andrew. But we know that's deeply coming from a place of, like, jealousy and Issa low-key not listening to Molly. But yeah, she goes on to say, like, oh, I don't know why she's still hanging out with him. He already showed who he was when he ghosted her. And to me, I thought that was so tacky because clearly you're very aware that your boyfriend, you're referring to your friend, your boyfriend's, like, best friend. Or I shouldn't say best friend, but at least close friend, that they live together. So I feel like she could have brought up her concerns without it sounding so judgmental and accusatory, and it was really out of pocket. And Andrew being gentle, because I would have been like, you know, tread lightly here. She calls him on it, and he calls her on it to be like, you know, he disappeared for a little bit because he has some shit to deal with. And she's like what, right? Because everybody believes that it can't be enough. Which even y'all with the reveal about why he disappeared, a lot of y'all still like, that's not enough. I mean, I get it because we are getting older and you get to a place where it's like unacceptable, but at the same time, he did not know his diagnosis. So I'm like, cut him some slack. And I think he's been working real hard to, like, prove to Issa that he really meant no harm, like, taking accountability for what he did. But anyway, he's just like, you know, he was gone for a little bit because he had some mental health stuff to deal with. And you see Molly's face completely, like, change, like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And my thing is, like, you could have avoided that whole situation, though, if you was just being quiet, sis. Like, you just walked in, and that's her problem. Like, she's a know-it-all. She feels like she has all the answers. But it's just like, girl, you be fucking up all the time, and that's okay. Like, but why you gotta always act like your shit don't stink? Like, you know you're the know-all, be-all for every single thing and everybody. So, yeah, she's like, oh, well, did he tell Issa that? And he's like, I don't know, that's between them, which I thought was the perfect answer because he was able to get in and take up for Nathan. He took up for Issa and subtly checking Molly, but also being like, that's not my concern, you know. And to me, I feel like she softened at the idea of being caught by saying something rude, but I also feel like I wish she had or maybe it'll show up later in the, like, next season or something, like, to really consider how you reacted. Like, you just dismissed Nathan. Issa was completely heartbroken. Your friend was being weird and she really wasn't, like, really comforting. Like, yeah, she helped him break in, but Molly's not really good at being soft, and she kind of acts irritated when Issa was having an emotional moment. But I guarantee you now, if, like, Andrew did something, she'd get pressed over it too. So yeah, the next scene cuts to them. She comes out in this lingerie, which I'm very jealous because clearly somebody has been hitting the gym and that somebody is not me. They have a moment where she is able to take control just like Andrew has asked her to do, and they have a great night. What else? So they do that, and Andrew's into it. Because she ties him up and she blindfolds him, which I guess they're doing this vacation thing right. I lost the sponge, y'all. What did I do with the sponge? So I believe the next scene is them at the pool, and they're swimming, they're chatting, everything is great, and then someone swims by and splashes Lydia right in the eye. I can attest to a salty ass pool full of chlorine. it hurts. I understand Lydia's pain with her, you know, your eye just getting messed up like that, because that is not a fun feeling. So Molly gets out the pool while, you know, Andrew's keeping her company, because I don't think Victor's in the pool at the moment. He's gone somewhere. She goes to get a towel. She's standing behind these two white people that get one. And the show, I think, purposely does this, where we don't see the interaction with her, the girl, and the two people in front of her. So Molly gets to the front and she asks for a towel. The lady tells her, you cannot have a towel without a key card. Now, that makes logical sense. I'm assuming that the resort that they are on is probably open, where people who stay at the hotel can stay along with people who just, I guess, pay to come in would use. So the problem is, though, Molly's like, yeah, but the people in front of me, you didn't ask them for a key card. So the girl's like, what are you insinuating? And she's like, the girl who's giving the towels out was like, I'm not sure what you're insinuating, but if you don't calm down, I'm going to have to call to my manager. Which I didn't even think about this until earlier when I was having a conversation with my mom about why the hell that's problematic. But Molly even says, like, you're about to call your manager over a towel, when this could have been resolved by just giving her a freaking towel. So anyway, Victor comes along out of the corner like a little. He reminded me of Randall from Monsters Inc. in that moment. Y'all know how, like, he be, like, slinking around, just comes out of the back and has been peeping the whole time, which would be a good thing to explore, because I don't know how long Victor was standing there to, like, watch that interaction. But he stops the lady, and he's just like, she has a key card, she's staying in this room, gives her the key card, and the lady still tries to proceed to hand the towel to Victor, and Molly intercepts it and snatches the towel from the girl. So she goes back to the pool. She's clearly annoyed. Andrew can tell, and she's like, what happened? So she's like, you know, nothing, just some racist bullshit. And now, see, the thing is, had Victor wanted to have the conversation, cool. But I don't like people who play devil's advocate, because it usually doesn't come from a good place. It's usually something not very nice at all. And I also felt like it was inappropriate because she was visibly upset about the interaction. And Andrew did say in advance that his brother can be annoying. And I can't be around people like that. That's very frustrating. Because you have to, like, always tone police yourself. And you're on vacation, so why would I want to do that? But to Molly's credit, I will say that she tried to shut the conversation down several times. But Victor was not trying to have it. Anyway, so he's just like, well, you sure you weren't overreacting? Was it really racism? Maybe the girl was just trying to do her job. She didn't want to get fired. And Molly's just like, you know, maybe you should just be quiet, because you really don't know. And he's like, oh, so what do you think? I don't experience racism? Which, just pause. I thought that was very unnecessary and tacky, because that's not what she was saying at all. And I felt like he was being a dickhead, and he knew he was being a dickhead. Nowhere did she say that you did not experience racism, but we both know that the experience of you being an Asian man is not the same experience of her being a black woman. So for him to be like, when she was like, she made the comment like, oh, well, you Asians only want to be people of color when it's convenient. Now, was that shady? Yes. Was she wrong? No. Did I think it was the time and place to say that? No. I think she could have said that differently, because I do think that that is an issue, not just in the Asian community, but I think people in general who are POC, who are not black, tend to be able to slip in and out of certain areas based on the situation that fits them best. And I got what he was saying of being like, you can't just let every situation affect you. And I'm pretty sure we do. Like, everybody, I'm sure every person of color, especially black people and black women, make daily negotiations on what you're going to do, right? You have been put in a situation where someone is racist, but for the sake of your time, for the sake of your sanity, a lot of us just opt to be like, you know what? I'm not going to blow up about it. This person knows that they're wrong, but I have somewhere to be and I have stuff to do, so I don't have the time to argue with this person about this or call them out for being wrong, especially when you know it's like a situation where you're not gonna win, right? So you just feel defeated and you're just like, whatever, I have shit to do. But I don't think that should be dismissed of being like, it's not because we don't know it's racism, it's because we're just making a choice not to do that. And I feel like the choices that are dealt to black people aren't the same options dealt to Asian people or Latinx people, etc. And, you know, she said that, because Lydia and Andrew were on her side the whole time, they're shocked because they're just like, oh, why would you say that? And, you know, Andrew's like, I'm not like that. And she's like, I don't think you're like that. I know you're not. I'm not talking about you, Andrew. Which his brother's like, oh, so you're selective about who can do that. Which, again, he's being an asshole. I'm pretty sure what she was trying to say is like, Andrew, your girlfriend is black. Your friends are black, so you've navigated this space. You know exactly what this looks like. You're used to it on a regular basis. Victor's a businessman. We don't know what is Victor's friends makeup. He and his wife, they're both like paler in comparison to Andrew. We don't know what their lifestyle is. So it came off like she was being judgmental. And I felt like it just wasn't the right place. But at the same time, she was speaking in anger because Victor was pushing her. So, you know, she realizes she puts her foot in her mouth. Andrew and his brother going back and forth in Mandarin. She's like, excuse me, could you please speak English? Which some people are like, ooh, that's rude. But in this instance, I could see why it was valid, because they were talking about her directly in front of her. Had there been a conversation that had nothing to do with her, I don't think it would have been appropriate, nor do I think she would have said it. But this moment, it was like, hey, could y'all not do that? But in the end, he's just like, oh, well, I've hit a nerve. Like, this is an interesting discussion. And I've met people like that. I've dealt with people like that. And they're infuriating because they're not very good at reading the room. They can be very condescending and just flat out just rude and irritating. And when you have a reaction, they see it as like, oh, they've beat you, or they bested you, or they've won because you've given into your emotions. And it's like, well, yeah, it's an emotional experience because this is my life that you're speaking about. And the fact that you're just talking so cavalier and treating it like I'm being immature, or I don't know how to just, you know, not have a feeling about it, is telling, but also infuriating at the same time, because like it's a unique experience. I feel like one of the things that black people are able to bond over, not just culture wise, but it's through the like explicit racism that we face, whether it be from direct name calling or a microaggression, or feeling like you've been left out, or just treatment in public, or like not being able to climb the work ladder, like various situations where we're like, I know it's real. Just because you are not experiencing it and you can't quantify it doesn't mean it's not happening. But she ends up storming out the pool. She's just like, you know what, fuck you, Andrew, get your brother. And to his credit, Andrew does call his brother a dickhead. And it cuts to them the night of, like, trying to sleep, but they're not cuddling because she can't. They're both thinking about this, you know, how this interaction went. The next day, Molly wakes up. She's by herself. I was like, oh shit, Andrew done left her. When I first watched this, I don't know why we always just assume the worst for Molly. Girl, I'm sorry, but you making it very hard on everybody. But he ends up coming in. He actually has smoothies. He didn't leave her at all. He says that he did indeed speak to his brother, and that his brother has apologized to him, and that they will not be hanging out with them today because they are going to spend the day in the city shopping, while her and him will be out. Her and him being Molly and Andrew, going to get massages. So Molly, to her credit, actually asked, like, you know, did I fuck things up? Did I make stuff weird? I'm very sorry for that. And Andrew's like, no, my brother can be a handful sometimes, so I'm glad that he was not surprised by that. And they just go about their day. They leave, and then they bump into Lawrence in the airport, where they kind of have an awkward moment where they don't know if they're to hug or shake hands. I guess, and Lawrence is just coming from a trip in San Francisco out for a job interview. We kind of see Andrew kind of buck up a little bit because he thinks that he's competition, not realizing that's Issa's ex-boyfriend. And, you know, they're chit-chatting, and they leave, and then we see Lawrence get on the phone and have a phone call with somebody, and people are like, ooh, is he on the phone with Condola? Which we know now he was not. He was on the phone with Issa, making plans with Issa. Which then brings us to episode 9, which also Kim Field's character definitely had a whole Stella got her groove back moment, because I'm pretty sure at that same airport they saw her making out with a man that was not her husband. So, I mean, I'm glad that she had a good time. So this brings us to episode 8. Episode 8. So episode 8 then involves around Issa and Lawrence the entire episode. They're supposed to meet at a bar, and everybody was clowning Issa, but did anyone notice that Lawrence ate a Tic Tac and nearly choked himself to death, like at the bar? Which I was like, oh, they're both goobers. That's why they're together, because they're both clearly like awkward and goofy as hell. It's perfect. I'm still not team Issa and Lawrence though. I think it really should be let go, but I thought they did a great job of having closure this episode. So, Issa, in pure Issa fashion, comes in, and she's got her walk on. Her outfit looks great. I really love that top. And in true Issa fashion, just completely busts her ass in the middle of the bar. And she doesn't get up. She just lays there for a moment. And in that moment, people are like, why wouldn't she get up? I was like, I could relate to this Issa. There's some, like, you've ever had a moment where you've fallen or just done something clearly embarrassing, where the cringe kind of just takes over your body for a moment where you can't move. So you just lay there until the moment passes to be able to, like, swallow your pride and get up off the floor. I feel like that was what that was. She just had to let that sit in for a minute. So she sits at the bar. They're trying to chat. Things are getting progressively louder. Bartender says the drinks are free because you busted your ass, which, thank you, but you didn't have to put me on the spot like that. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do to my face, guys. I don't know what I want to put. So they end up leaving and going to another restaurant because it's too loud, which is completely an excuse, but they're being cute, so whatever. Issa lies and says that she's never been to the restaurant before, which is completely untrue because she has been to the restaurant before. And they end up talking. She's just pressing him to figure out what it is that he wanted to talk to her about so badly. And basically ends up being a heart-to-heart about why they broke up, why she cheated, who she cheated, why she cheated with, who she cheated with. And I thought it was a really good, thorough conversation. You know, she tells the truth, like, it wasn't random. Like, I picked Daniel. I regret it, but it was because Daniel basically gave me the attention that you wouldn't give me. You know, she admitted that she drove around sometimes after work for hours because she just didn't want to go home and deal with Lawrence because he just wasn't giving her what she needed. So side note, I actually bought the 2 Melt Cosmetics new palette. So I got the 420 palette, which comes in this beautiful gold box. Like, I know we don't supposed to keep them, but they're so pretty. Oh my god, look. And it's holographic. I don't know, but that gold box is fire too. It's beautiful. And then, what do they give us these plastic shields for? What do they do? They just slide around. But I also have the Smoke Sessions palette. And these are kind of heavy. Like, they're slim. What can I compare it to? I got the Jackie Aina palette. It's thicker, but this one's heavier. The Jackie Aina palette is quite light in comparison. But I thought it would be made out of metal, but it's not. Unless it is low-key metal, I just don't know it. Maybe, because there's a mirror in here. Another one of those slides, but now see this one, the case looks the same as the box. I don't know, it's kind of fire. So do I want to do 420 or Smoke Sessions? green, green, green. Can you see that? I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera, but I tried. They're both so good. Do I want to do like an earthy color? I'm gonna go with the green, the 420, the Smoke Sessions one. I think I want to do something with this green. So anyway, where was I? Yeah, so, you know, Lawrence is kind of taken aback by Issa's honesty, but it's also, I feel like, very cathartic that they were able to just be honest about what went wrong. And, you know, Lawrence admits to her, like, you know, he was basically in a state of depression. He didn't know how to speak up to tell her. He considered moving back home with his family, but he knew that wouldn't have made him happy. It would have made it worse. And he felt like shit because he would leave. No, Issa had a place to leave and go to, but he didn't. And that's real. That's very real. That's a very sad feeling. And I thought it was nice that he was honest with her about that. And, you know, Issa, to her credit, is just like, well, you know, I was your girlfriend. We were together for 5 years. Why didn't you tell me any of this stuff? You wouldn't talk to me. You didn't want to have sex. You didn't want to do anything. So, you know, how was I supposed to help if you weren't willing to have the convo with me? And he's just like, I couldn't find the words. And to be honest, that's real. Like, that is what depression is being like, I'm aware that I'm, like, falling. I'm aware that I'm falling apart. I'm aware that something's not working, but I just don't know how to find the language to be able to tell you how and why this isn't working for me. And he, you know, she just takes it for what it is, and he tries to kind of put it on her a bit, and she's like, no, I tried to stay. Like, you know that I was devastated when our relationship crumbled. I really wanted to work. And he was just like, well, you know, I thought we were working on things. We had reconciled. Why did you cheat? And she's just like, I was afraid that you were going to go back to doing what you were doing before. And it ends quite well. You know, they are able to have a full-on conversation. They're able to see how the other has changed in the last few months through this conversation. Issa's way more assertive than she used to be. She ordered all the food for the table. And, you know, when it's all over for dinner, they end up bumping into TSA Bay. Which I thought this was so tacky, okay? So, one, I don't feel like there's no reason to be ashamed of anyone that you've hooked up prior with, right? But I thought that was very tacky of Lawrence to ask how they know each other. Especially when you know exactly how that relationship was with that person. I thought that was really unnecessary and to put her on the spot in that way. And TSA Bay, I thought, was very tacky with the being like, oh yeah, we used to smash. Not only in front of this date, but in front of your own date. Like, come on, have some class. Which I did see people on Twitter complaining that's why they were mad that TSA was plus size, because he's obnoxious, so they felt like it was a bit of a stereotype. Which I could see. I could get that. I could understand that. Kind of in the way that they do Kelly. Yeah, so Lisa's like, oh, have you heard of Art Walk? We should check it out. And TSA Bay, after they leave, because it comes out that she went on a date to that restaurant with TSA Bay. And Lawrence is like, okay, well, I gotta go. Tell me how it is. And he just takes off. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, what was that about? So, he's just kidding. He comes back. He didn't leave her. And they go, I'm gonna say it was another Uber. I could be wrong. There's something in between there I'm missing. I just know that they end up taking an Uber ride. There's this very, like, invasive black woman driving, asking them about them being in love and if he's gonna propose. Lawrence tells her that, yeah, he bought a ring, which again was very petty because it's been established that she's cheated and that she fucked up. And I just felt like it wasn't necessary to rub that in again because they had just had this whole conversation, like, copping to it, which she later on asked Lawrence if he really bought a ring, and he says yes, which I don't know why she was surprised about because they went ring shopping. Yeah, so they end up going on an art walk and just talking, and of course the conversation of Condola comes up because she's been texting him throughout the night, and he's like, yeah, we're seeing each other, like, yeah, we've broken up, but we're still talking. And I thought that was good because he was transparent. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. She's a little, maybe the teensiest bit bothered, but for the most part, she's cool about it. So they chat, they're looking at artwork, talking about what they've been doing for their lives, how they've changed. Issa, how she's viewed her on her life, like her life views have changed. And Lawrence is like, you know, I really like this new Issa. Like, I like this person on you, which is another reason why I feel like they should not be together, at least not right now, simply because I feel like they've both come a long way, and sometimes you have to come apart to be able to grow. I think that if they wanted to get back together in the future, that's okay, but for the time being, I think that they should just leave each other alone and connect down the line if you know, fate happens that way. So they end up eventually taking another Uber, which Issa pays for this time, at Lawrence's apartment. Is this the brush I want? I am struggling, y'all. They end up at Andrew's apartment. Issa clowns him, saying, you know, you got an air mattress, you got a bachelor pad, because it comes out that he actually doesn't live far from Issa. Which I was like, oh, Issa's definitely flirting, trying to get into his apartment, because she's made comments about it several times at this point about how his living conditions look. So he tells the Uber driver, like, you know, just wait for her for a second, she'll be right back out, which we all know that she was not coming right back out. They're talking. She says that she compliments his new place, says that she's gonna use the restroom real quick, which again, you ain't slick, Issa, because we know exactly what you was up to. I guess I'll just use this brush. This really is not the brush that I wanted, but I really don't know what the hell else to pick. Lauren steps out to call back Condola, who's also been blowing up his phone, which I think could have been avoided had he just said, Condola, I'm not meeting up with you tonight. But instead, he just kept doing that typical nigga shit, which was just to keep texting. And I don't know, people keep saying they think Condola's pregnant, but also feel like Crystal and Fran were kind of right with the fact that it was pretty late at night. So the rest of us are like, those are booty call hours. I don't really see how, you know what, I guess I can switch to this mirror. Space Queen. I don't really see how the new, ooh, that was a lot darker than I anticipated. Okay, maybe we don't want to put that there. Let's see, how dark is Space Queen? Let's do Space Queen instead. My bad. This is either gonna go terribly right or terribly wrong. So, yeah, so they're like, oh, as you know, it's important. I thought she was really just calling him for a hookup, to be honest. But yeah, he gets off the phone after telling her that he will talk to her soon or whatever, and comes into Issa standing behind him, and they're like staring at each other, giving each other the eyes, and he's like, I had a really good time tonight, and Issa's like, yeah, me too. Turns around to leave, and then stops and is like, what if I don't want to go home? And he's like, well, you don't have to go home. And they stay, and they end up hooking up. Now, I thought for sure that this was more of a closure hookup because that was the way I interpreted it. Like they were cool either way of how things go, but I guess, like always, we were very, very wrong. And I say that because the way it ended, like, when she got up the next day, there was no awkwardness. They weren't, like, unsure about each other. They just seemed really relaxed and cool and satisfied from the night before. And, you know, he offers her, I think, either Uber to drop her home, but she's like, nah, I think I'm gonna walk. And she does. She walks her old happy ass down, and the scenery's changing. We got a montage of how everything's changing, which I thought was cool because a lot of it was construction, because you know that it's one comment on, like, gentrification because that's an issue, but also speaks to how that's how their lives are right now, them reconstructing themselves. So that, I thought that was a cool double meaning. And Issa just seems like she's thoroughly enjoying this walk. Like, not a walk like, oh, where I got my man back, but just meaning like she got the closure that she needed, and things I feel like make more sense to her now. I'm trying to remember how it ends. But yeah, she makes it home. Everything's great for her now. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is the end of the episode. So I was prepared to believe, like, okay, that's as far as this is gonna go. We're done seeing the two of them together. But this is where we lead into episode 9, which is their second to last episode of the season, or almost season finale. We find out in episode 9 that they're actually still seeing each other. Which, I'm like, okay, they're cute or whatever, but I really am not rooting for this because I really don't think that they're... Ooh, that actually looks really dope. Okay, I'm gonna just do this all on my lid then. Maybe? Maybe? If I can get it to show up. Yes. Yeah, so I think... Yeah, they cut in episode 9. It shows them at, I want to say at Lawrence's apartment, and just showing them like reconnecting. You know, they've been having sex again. They've been eating together. They've been watching TV together. They've been working alongside one another. Just kind of just getting back into the groove of things, and things are going well so far. Nathan hits her up though to ask her about helping him move, and it shows Issa's still working, which I thought was good because that's also a reason why I don't think they should be back together, because relationships can be distracting, and I feel like they've both found their footing in their professional lives where I don't want them to get distracted by being in love with one another, that they make unnecessary mistakes all over again, you know? But she, to her credit, tells Lawrence up front about her and Nathan's past relationship, about them dating, and about him requesting to help because she wants to be transparent. And tells Lawrence, you know, if you don't want me to because it makes you uncomfortable, like, let me know. I will cancel with him. And I saw people online saying that she didn't need to close off things with Nathan and that she didn't need to tell Lawrence. But to me, I'm like, you're being dishonest at this point, because it's very clear that they're moving in the direction of being serious, and Issa's already cheated on him in the past. So I understand y'all trying to, like, what you're trying to say, but a lot of you just trying to have your cake and eat it too, because if that's the case, then you need to say that you wanted to keep it casual, because on the couch during that same conversation, Issa asks Lawrence, what are we? And Lawrence replies with, what do you want us to be? And, you know, she asks him, like, well, are you still seeing Condola? He says, no, things have closed off. I told her that I can't see her anymore. So it's established, like, okay, so we're seeing each other. Now, they didn't say flat out they're exclusive, but it's implied, people. It's implied. I don't know why I did this, you guys, because I definitely had tape that I could have put on to account for this fallout. But forgive me, I haven't like put on makeup in a minute, so I'm trying to remember what the hell the steps are in the first place to be able to do this. While I'm thinking about it, let me go ahead and put this washi tape on now. Yeah, so he's like, Lawrence is like, nah, it's cool, like, I trust you, don't worry about it. If you want to go do that, then handle that. She's like, alright, cool. I feel like this is the point where Molly comes up, because it's a predominant Issa episode, but Molly does make some appearances. Oh, yes, I'm right. So it shows Molly in therapy, and this girl is just wasting money because she does not want to be held accountable for absolutely nothing. She thinks that she has done absolutely nothing wrong, which she tells her therapist after she asks her, and feels like Issa is the one that needs to apologize and everybody else does her wrong. And I'm just like, well, then your ass need to be by yourself, because who wants to be friends with somebody who's always just going to keep score constantly and tell them that they have to apologize? And I understand, like, admitting when you're wrong and being being accountable for your actions, but I also feel like relationships and friendships are about compromise, which her damn therapist points out to her to be like, listen, bitch, you want to be right or you want a relationship? And that really hits Molly. Like, if you're not willing to do the work to be friends with somebody, then you need to just go ahead and let them go. And that's the problem, is like, she's not trying to do the work. She just wants Molly to Issa to apologize because, like, she feels like she's been wronged. And what good is a friendship if our whole existence is about how I need to always be sorry for anything that I do to you that upsets you? So, to be honest, I would have told Molly to kick rocks if I was Issa, because that's trash. Like, nobody wants to be around somebody that treats them like that. Probably didn't need this much tape, but, you know, whatever. We're just trying to make it sharp for the gods, you know? Yeah, so I think that sticks with Molly, because she even says it, you know, damn, Dr. Rhonda, read me. This is either, like I said, gonna look fantastic or terrible. But this color payoff, baby. Baby. It's fantastic. I actually like that a lot better now that I've, like, pulled it all the way to the corners. So, yeah, I feel like it speaks to how, like, selfish Molly is, because even when she was supposed to bring food home for her and Andrew, and then was like, I know that you wanted Indian, but I didn't really care for their naan, so I got something different. Now, in a case like that, if you felt like you didn't want that anymore and you changed your order, then you get what you want for yourself. But if that is what I said that I wanted, then get me what I asked for. Or you should have called him and asked him, like, hey, I know you wanted Indian food, but I'm stopping here because I want this. I can still get you Indian food, or did you want me to grab you something from there? And it just goes to show, like, her unwillingness to compromise. She's very selfish. She thinks that she's right about everything. And it's just a turnoff. And I feel like Andrew's getting tired of her. I'm really scared because I feel like the finale, he's going to dump her. Because she's just a mess. Because I think he's been very good at trying to be as gentle as possible to try to get her to see a different perspective, and she just digs her heels in. Like, she blows up at him anytime he suggests anything of the sort of compromise to her. So during the same conversation, though, he also asks her, you know, my brother got tickets to the Clippers game, and I wanted to know, you know, do you want to go? He's offering it as a peace offering. Molly's like, why don't you go instead, because he's your brother, and make it a boys' night out. And to be honest with you, kind of with Molly on this one, right? We know that Andrew has taken up for Molly in this instance, but like I said before, like, racism is this, like, permeating thing that you just can't turn off. And I feel like basketball tickets aren't the answer, unless his brother's trying to give her a full-on apology when she gets there. But I'm with Molly of being like, damn, I just don't feel like compromising right now because this wound is kind of still fresh because we don't know how long it's been since they've been on vacation. But I do think in that moment though she should have thought about it a little bit harder, considering the fact that it is Andrew's brother, and you know, you want to date this man. Dating him comes with your family. If you guys decide in the future, like, listen, I really just can't stand your brother, I don't want to be around him or whatever, I feel like that's fair. But we're still gonna have to go to events and stuff and make appearances as a couple, and I want you to be there because I want you to support me as my girlfriend. I think I want to put this like glittery green in the middle. He's like, cool, I'll go with my brother, no big deal, end of the conversation. And then we go to Issa helping Nathan in his apartment, and she's practicing how she's gonna tell him, like, I'm seeing my ex again. It doesn't hit right. She ends up going, I think, with what's up nigga, mad loud and screechy like, but you know, do we really expect anything different? She is Issa. And Nathan is clearly on some flirty stuff because he's trying to make passes at her, and Issa is trying to deflect like hell. But he does tell her that the old owner is leaving the barbershop, and him and his friends are buying it. And he said that her hustle inspired his hustle, which is why I think they're so great. Like, even if they don't necessarily date, I just think that they're good for each other to be in their lives, because I think that they I don't know, I think he inspires something in her that she doesn't have with Lawrence for right now. And that might change in the future, but I just think for the time being that they're a good match, and I think that she should give it a shot. Like, I think she could casually date, and I think that Nathan would be a good guy for that situation. But she shuts it down. She tells him, like, listen, I can't do this. I'm actually back together with my ex. And then Nathan, in true nigga fashion, starts to get petty to be like, oh, the nigga that you cheated on. Which, why do we have to say it like that? Was that necessary? And Issa's like, yes, the nigga that I cheated on. And, you know, he starts taking jabs like, oh, well, I hope that nigga know what he want. And because he sound flaky and he's sometimey. And then Issa, of course, pulls up on him to be like, wait a minute now. Don't call him sometimey, because you the same nigga that ghosted me for like a month on end. No words, nothing to tell me, nothing to say. Which I have been ghosted before several times, and it's not fun. And I'm just glad that Issa's lucky enough to have a person that's willing to admit that he fucking ghosted her, because the person that kept ghosting me felt like they did nothing wrong. Like, they don't have to answer to it at all. And which I guess that last episode and this episode is a good reminder to block your ex. Just block your ex. Y'all not about to have an Issa and Lawrence moment. They're not about to hit you up on some lovey-dovey stuff. They're not gonna act right. They're just gonna gaslight you and piss you off and hurt your feelings and ruin your night. Just don't even go there, sis. Just break up with him. For good. For good. But anyway, yeah, Nathan takes this moment to tell her why exactly he ghosted her, which is he found out that he's bipolar. So we've confirmed it. It was hinted at this whole time, but never really established. But he is they have full on, like, told us, like, he's ghosted her because of his own mental health issues. And Issa doesn't, you know, try to step over. She doesn't try to be like, oh, well, that's not an excuse. She doesn't get on his case. She just lets him talk, and she's grateful that he shared. And, you know, Nathan's like, listen, I like having you in my life. This is a great experience, and I'm trying to just surround myself with the right people, and I want you around, which I thought was sweet. And he was cool about her getting back together with her ex, even though clearly he was in his feelings because he likes her. But I could also see Issa's side of being like, I don't really trust you just yet because of how things went the last time. So that's fair. But, yeah, so that whole situation happens. She's back with Lawrence. She's kind of having a moment at home where she's like not really sure what to do, and she genuinely misses her friend. She actually is drifting through. She calls Kelly and asks her for some advice and leaves a voicemail. But she ends up calling Molly at some point. And at first we think they're on the phone, like, genuinely having a conversation because she mentions to her about how she's gone back together with Lawrence and they want to talk. And then Molly turns out to, like, blow up on her completely and cusses her out for being a user and calling her only when she wants something. Then she turns towards the camera and we realize that she is daydreaming. Now, do I think it was tacky a little bit for her to try to call Molly at a time like that when she needed something again? Absolutely. Did I understand the context of it, though? Absolutely. They're best friends. The person that you want to talk to in the same way I feel like Molly probably felt when she was on that vacation with Andrew is at that moment she missed Issa. She wanted to talk to her friend. The only person she knew that would understand where she was coming from, who had time for her, that would console her, was Issa. And I think the same thing for Molly. Like, her reasoning was selfish, but I think she genuinely missed her friend and she wanted to talk to her, and that was the perfect moment to do it. But to her credit, she calls her and she doesn't actually mention Lawrence, but she does ask to meet up simply because she wants to meet up. And Molly is stank. She's truly stank about it. Like, she's barely trying to engage with her. She wouldn't make eye contact. It was really weird when Issa went out to hug her. And I don't know, I feel like Molly showed up with the intention of thinking that that Issa was just gonna beg for her friendship and beg for forgiveness about wanting to maintain their friendship with each other. And I was very frustrated because I was just like, she's not a dog, like, she's a person. You're not even concerned with how you may have hurt her feelings. You're only concerned with being right and her, like, admitting that she fucked up. And, you know, they stay, they chat, they warm up after they've had some drinks, kikiing and stuff as best friends, but the conversation stays superficial. They never really touch on the issues of why they had to blow up in the first place. I'm in love. It kind of looks like a greenish denim color. I don't know how it's translating on camera. I won't know until I see it in post, but I really love this. I really do. I'm just trying to get that brown. I don't want to make something else glittery in there because I feel like it'll take away from it. But this sour diesel, bro. The sour diesel. Yo. Woo. It's sickening. Like, it's like a army green in here mixed with this blue green in the back of like a moss color. Ugh. It looks so good. I will go back and fix my inner corner highlight though. I should have saved that for last. Yeah, so it cuts to that scene that I mentioned earlier. Sorry, I'm not doing it in order, but it cuts back to that scene from earlier with Molly bringing food and her and Andrew talking about it, and Andrew, you know, tells her how he went to she asked him how the game went with his brother. He says that it went well, but it was awkward because Molly didn't show up. And Molly's like, you know, I didn't ask you to lie on my behalf. I didn't say that. And she's right. She is right. And I think in that moment, Andrew was looking for her to be on his side because has taken her side. In that moment, he just wanted solidarity from her, knowing that she was there to support him, that she's not gonna hold hard feelings, that she's on Andrew's side. And I feel like Andrew's been on her side this entire time. So in that moment, the right thing was to show up for him, not for Victor, but simply for your boyfriend. And, you know, Andrew asked her, like, so are you just never gonna speak to my brother again? And she's just like, you know, now is not a good time. I just don't think it's a good time. And I think how she just said that from the beginning to be like, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Andrew, but I think I just need more time to sit with it because your brother really hurt me and it offended me. and I appreciate you for taking up for me, but at the same time, you know, I don't know if I'm willing to be around that person right now. I understand for birthdays and events and stuff, that'll be different, but for right now, I just need some time. And I think that would have been fine from him. I think he would have understood that. So they're kind of about to get into it, and that's when Nathan and Issa walk in, which Molly's completely pissed off about that, of course, because she's caught not being perfect. So, you know, Andrew's just like, you know, they should stay, you know. She's like, yeah, I bought a whole bunch of food. How about you guys stay and eat? Issa's like, no, we can go. Like, it'll be weird. And then Nathan's like, I don't know what she's talking about. I'm starving. So they end up staying. They eat. Shows them on the floor, like, reminiscing about stuff, playing a game. Molly, of course, is, like, talking shit about Issa's old life and how she had a raggedy, rundown apartment and shit. But this is only after Nathan was, like, I guess trying to downplay his new place. Of being like, oh, it's not, you know, it's nothing special. And she's like, nah, your apartment is bomb. Like, what are you talking about? So, yeah, they're, like, chilling. Everything's going great. They're about to play a game. Andrew's like, I'm gonna get another, no, Molly, excuse me, is like, there's another bottle of wine. Andrew's like, I'll grab it. They smile at each other and they wink, you know, because she's like, see, I'm getting along with her, I'm trying. Because, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, he asked her about the dinner, how'd it go? She said that it was okay, but it was on very superficial shit. Andrew asked her, like, did you bring up the conversation? Did you try to start it? And she's like, no, that's not my job. I wasn't invited to the dinner. Which, partially, yes, but like I said, Molly already showed up with this I'm not trying to negotiate or talk to you kind of attitude, so I feel like Issa was trying to keep it light. And when they asked her about it, she's just like, you know, when Issa speaks about it later, she's like, I'm just trying to keep it light, you know, maybe I'm trying to get us back to where we were before, and at some point, maybe we can lead up to having that conversation, which makes sense, right? When they're vibing, kind of in the way with Lawrence, like, just take it easy. So she sends out, Issa gets a text message that says, see, I'm trying, which is from Molly, which was supposed to go to Andrew, which Issa then texts back to say, I don't think this message is meant for me. And then she gets up and is like, you know, I'm gonna head out. Molly actually, believe it or not, chases after her, which completely shocked the hell out of me, because Molly seems not like the running type. And she's like, I'm sorry, you weren't meant to see that. And Issa's like, well, obviously. And, you know, Issa's hurt, because she's just like, I didn't realize it was so difficult for you to be around me, to spend time with me, to hang out with me. And Molly's just like, you know, girl, we didn't talk about anything important that day. We just kind of was on some superficial shit. So Issa's like, you want to talk about the block party? Let's talk about the block party. So Issa's like, it's not about the block party. Which, she did this at the block party too, when they got into the argument. Because she'll say, Issa's like, okay, let's have the conversation. She's like, but it's not about this. So what is it about, Molly? Either get to the point or shut up, because you're not making any sense and you're just driving everybody else crazy around you. And Issa tells her, like, I didn't have to bring it up because it felt like you didn't want to talk about it, right? Because what's the point? If I'm about to have a conversation and opening my heart up to you and telling you all the things that I feel, but if you're looking at the menu and refusing to make eye contact with me, then I'm not about to sit here and embarrass myself over this if you're not willing to engage on the same level that I am. And they could have even established from that day maybe they didn't want to be friends, but Molly just came in with, like, this stink-ass air about her, like, yeah, bitch, I deserve an apology. You should apologize to me because I deserve it. And, you know, Molly's just like, you know, maybe who I am now is not who you, like, me, who you are and who I am now don't align. Which I'm gonna call bullshit on this, because you haven't even been hanging out in the last few months, so you don't even know what she's like. You've been told by your boyfriend on several occasions now that you keep jumping the gun and make comments about people that you don't know. Molly, Issa said on several occasions that she don't fuck with Molly, but she has not commented on anything else aside from Molly's face about their relationship. So to me, Molly was just making shit up, and that shows to me what the therapist was saying is like, you don't want to do the work. You just want to be right, and you want to... I feel like she said that low-key just to hurt her feelings. Because then Issa, like, is tearing up. She's crying. She's just like, okay. And Molly's like, okay. What was she supposed to say to that, bitch? Like, what was the proper response? Oh, Molly, please don't go. We can make this work. I'm not your boyfriend. And even if I'm not, like, as a friendship, I'm not about to grovel and beg some hoe to be my friend. Like, there's really nothing to argue about. I said, let's talk about it. You said that that's not what it's about. I asked you, what's it about? You say that maybe we've outgrown each other. Cool. And there's no dispute in that. Maybe we have outgrown each other. In the same way that her and Lawrence, I feel like, should just give it a rest. Maybe they just need to be, like, have space. But the fact, it really pissed me off when she was like, okay. Like, surprised that Issa just said that. What was the proper response to that question? So Issa gets in her goddamn Uber and she goes home, as anybody else with some any sense would do too. And I was just like, it's really hard to root for Molly because she's just so damn unlikable. And I think it sucks because I feel like she's putting all her eggs into one basket with Andrew, not even realizing that she's getting on Andrew's last goddamn nerve too. And I feel like that really is going to be the finale, is that Andrew is going to dump her because she does not want to compromise. Andrew has tried to help her with her friendships. Andrew has tried to help her with her work life. Andrew has tried to help her with their relationship. And she's wanted this relationship so bad, but that is what relationships are, is about compromise. There are going to be moments when you are absolutely right. You absolutely are, and you tell your friend, like, I know that I'm right for this, and these reasons. I take responsibility for my actions that had involved in this, with this, and this, but this is why I feel like you wronged me. This is why I'm hurt. And Molly sucks at that. She is not very good at communication. She just feels like people are supposed to walk up to her and give her, like, appreciation and beg at her feet, and anyone who does not fit into her ideal bubble is trashed for it. And I don't know how Issa's lasted this long, because like I've said in the previous episodes, Molly's had a history of kind of bagging on Issa. So Issa's in a great place. Look how she's flourished in these last few months. Her relationship with Molly fell off, but look how much she's grown as a person and how far she's gotten with her success. Like, she's finally found something that she likes because she was able to step back from that friendship and just put grind for something she was into. And Molly couldn't handle it. So that is pretty much that. We don't see Nathan again. We don't see Andrew again. We don't know how this ends. Molly goes back inside. Issa's gone in her Uber. I saw the preview for the next episode. It looks like Molly's arguing with Andrew. And it looks like Molly's possibly going to hit rock bottom, it looks like, to be able to understand how she's fucking everything up. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe if she breaks up with Andrew, that they'll have a reconciliation. But girl, you're making it so hard. Like, hard to root for you, hard to like you. Like, you had the upper hand for a minute, and then you just jumped off the deep end. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I felt like she was doing too much. I feel like Andrew's gonna get sick of her at some point, of her bullshit, because everything is about Molly and it has to be in Molly's world. And I think that Andrew is going to get tired of having to deal with that because she's unyielding at all. Like, so far, the biggest way we've seen her change is when she was trying to get the relationship up and running with Andrew, calling out the fact that she fucked up, and Andrew admitting that he fucked up, and on their vacation with Victor. But other than that, she's annoying. And I feel like low-key, too, that could also be why Issa also agreed, because if I have to work so hard for your attention, for your love, for your acceptance, for your friendship, then I honestly feel like there's no reason for us to be fucking with each other. Like, I'd hate to say that, and I know some people be like, well, you don't want to compromise. No, I don't want to have to change who I am to try to like fit into your box. I've done that with people, and it's trash, because that person's never gonna see how they're messing up. You're always gonna be that person that's apologizing, because they're never gonna want to take responsibility. I'm definitely a person that has taken one for the team, for the sake of like the friendship, for the time being, for the moment, for progress. And it just leaves you feeling unfulfilled and your feelings hurt. And props to Issa for giving it a shot, because I don't even think that she honestly should have hit Molly up in the first place. I truly believe Molly was in the wrong, and she should have been the one to contact Issa, because she was out of pocket. But Issa, like, she reached out, and she didn't throw it in her face. She didn't say anything to her about it. She tried to be as cordial as possible, and Molly still gave Issa her ass to kiss. So I don't even know what the proper response was after that. Like, what was she supposed to do with that information? And it blows my mind, because then Molly always looks so surprised when things go awry. And it's just like, I don't know if you just managed to slip through the cracks your whole life of nobody ever holding you accountable. Like, is it like you have a princess complex? Because we know you're not an only child. So what is the deal? Like, what is your problem? I'm missing something. Okay, I've contoured. I know I have to do blush, and I have to highlight. I'm trying to find my eyeliner. Here we are. That's not the right one. So, yeah, I'm not sure what Molly was really expecting. Like, what would have been the better way to handle that? What was Issa supposed to say to her? Please be my friend. Please don't go. What, we can work this out? And again, I'm not absolving Issa from any guilt, right? Because I do think part of this whole thing could have been avoided if they had to stop putting on the back burner their need to have a conversation. I think had they just sat down and had the convo, but I don't think either one of them wanted to have the conversation, either because they're both tired, like they feel like their friendship is run its course on both ends, and they don't know how to properly handle it, or it's just not a priority. Because we can't say, I feel like low-key Molly did it because she is dating Andrew, so she's decided that her relationship is the primary thing in her life right now, which is fine, right? Because it's her first one. I think Molly would have had no problem. Issa would have had no problem with that, because I'm sure that she probably went through it with Lawrence. In the 5 years that they were together, there are moments where you have to share your friends. But I think Issa's was different. You know, she wanted to really put her hard work into this. She had lost a boyfriend for 5 years. She had broken things off with what's his name, Daniel, because that went terribly wrong. Molly wasn't really encouraging at that moment, and then Nathan ghosted her, so all she had was work. She put her life into work at the time, and I don't know why Molly was so irritated with that, because that's Molly's experience too. Like, you put your boyfriend on the back burner several times in one episode so that you could be an overachieving chick. Like, I think she likes the idea of being successful and having a happy relationship and great friends and all that, but I don't think she's willing to do the work that it costs to maintain it. I think she just wants to stand in the front and take the credit for it. And that's not fair to the other people around her, because she's depriving them of proper, like, attention and communication and the respect that they deserve. And if your relationships are based off the leverage that you have over your peers, then I don't really know what we're doing here. Like, why would I want to be friends with a person that treats me that way? And I think for a moment, like, Issa finally had a separate identity from Kelly, from Molly, and from Tiffany. She wasn't the broke bitch for a minute. She was the girl who was getting her shit together and truly working on herself. And even they clowned her for that. I have blush. I'm trying to find my blush. And they clowned her for it. I think that relationships are difficult, regardless if they're platonic or not. And I just wish that, Molly could take a hint. But we know that she has history of being, like, a jackass, because even when her dad cheated, she couldn't forgive it. And I'm not saying that, she didn't deserve time to mourn, because that's definitely a big character shift to find out that your father had an affair. But to be stank to your parent in their own home, I think is a bit much. You know what I'm saying? Like, and her brother was right. Mom forgave him. You don't even have to do the work. If that's what she wants to do, then that's what she wants to do. The least you can do is be respectful of her decision. But, Molly just feels like she's the person that is right. And she didn't even, like, approach her dad. She barely asked her mother. Because I feel like that would have been me, like, as annoyed with my father as I would have been cheating on my mom. I think I would have tucked it aside for the sake of my mom's feelings, because I wouldn't want her to be hurt. And I might, I might be a mommy's girl and take my mom's side if he does something else shady in the future. But for the sake of not upsetting her, especially on the day when they're renewing their vows, I think I would have just sucked it up for the day. So yeah, I don't know what the hell's gonna happen in this finale. It's probably gonna give me a heart attack, to be honest with you, because the writers at Insecure really love hurting my feelings. I feel like I watched this week's wind down, but I don't remember who it was with. It might have been with Nathan, which they probably did on purpose just to mess with us, instead of giving us actual Molly, because they just want to play with my emotions and make me feel sad that this is even a conversation that we're having and that we're even at this point. But I forgot to mention this earlier. I also feel like if Issa and Lawrence are gonna, which it looks like that's gonna be a thing. So I'm forgetting a whole section because Molly done pissed me off. So Issa gets a phone call later on from Lawrence, or earlier on before the dinner thing, from Lawrence that he indeed did get the job in San Francisco. Which Issa, when she was telling him about Nathan, does mention, like, San Francisco's kind of far, don't know if I'm able to handle that. So I feel like that is going to be a deal breaker, which again, I feel like is a reason why they shouldn't be together. I think if they had already been together for a few years or something, they'd be okay, but because they're working on reconciling, I don't think it's a good idea for them to be exclusive if he decides to move away. Because I doubt very seriously she's going to follow him out to San Francisco, considering the fact she's just got her feet started with this whole event business. And I'm curious how that's going to work if she's going to remain friends with Nathan, because they have very clear sexual tension. And I really, really don't want Issa to make the same mistake twice by cheating on Lawrence with Nathan. She would be irredeemable at that point. And I don't think that's the route that she really wants to go, especially with her being honest about it. And I'm hoping, even if it hurts Lauren's feelings, that she will just tell him the truth, because she's been doing such a great job of that, I think, in the last couple episodes of just owning stuff. I feel like it would be much better for her to just say, you know what, this is gonna be too much for me. I think we should just end it here. And I think it would be much smarter in the long run than to hurt each other, because I feel like if she doesn't, especially if she remains friends with Nathan, I feel like that it can and will get very messy very quickly in a way that she will not be able to redeem herself from. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think she's gonna tell him the truth? Do you think she's gonna break it off with him, or is she just gonna roll with the punches? But I do feel like he asked her, if I'm not mistaken, in the preview, like, how do you feel about this? What do you want to do? And it kind of turns into a thing. But I feel like that's, you know, it's not an issue if somebody says, you know what, long distance just won't work for me. I need somebody that's in front of me, that's able to give me intention. Because even though they're in the same state, I'm really not sure what the distance is between San Francisco and I think she lives in LA. I think what the big difference would be, but I'm hoping she's able to vocalize that rather than lie, and then it comes back to bite her in the ass later, you know? And I hope that Lawrence is understanding on that. Somebody said that they believe that he's lying about ending things with Condola. They think that he made that up. And I also saw something else saying, who is Andrew always on the phone with? Which I thought they made it clear with the subtitles that he's on the phone with Victor, his brother. Because his sister, he doesn't have really communication with. He's mentioned his parents, but I don't know if they speak to one another. From the way that Andrew describes his family and the brief insight that we've gotten, I don't think his family and him are on the greatest of terms. Or at least him and his sister. But I don't really know. I don't remember what he said to Molly about his parents. I just know that he said that he grew up somewhere in Cali, but they never went to Disney World. So I don't know if that means he grew up in like a poor household or a dysfunctional one. Because remember Molly said that she grew up in LA, but she's never seen the beach until she was an adult. When they were like, how's it you lived here that long and you've never seen the beach? She's just like, well, my parents ain't have money, so I ain't have a reason to be out there, you know? How deep do we want to go? Is this a dark brown lip kind of look? Nah, not really too dark. Kind of a nude. I want to go more north neutral. I'm almost done, guys. I'm almost done. So I will put everything that I used today in the description. These smell so good. Maybe I'll blend. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll do two colors. And then I'll put the same color in the middle. And I feel like I do not have a lip brush. I bought all new brushes. As I was doing this, I realized I don't have a dark brown lip liner. So that is why I'm substituting with this like dark brown lipstick that I hope which I'm wearing two different Melt Cosmetics colors and they smell fantastic. It smells like vanilla, maybe marshmallows. I think that worked, y'all. So all that we can do now is spray and set it. To rejuvenate the skin. that, my dear, is the final look. So yes, y'all have listened to me talk for over an hour now and do my makeup, and I was 3 weeks late, but I hope that this video somewhat makes up for it so that we can join each other for the Nat finale on Sunday. I was gonna say something, but I'm not gonna say that because I feel like that I'll be mad at myself if I don't keep to it. But either way, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the new format. I hope you like this new setup. More videos will be coming in the future. I have some ideas, and I'm just glad that you stuck it out with me. I apologize again for such a late upload, but life is real tough right now for me and for everybody, and I just hope that you're taking care of yourself and practicing self-care. Take a bath, read a book, smoke a blunt, drink some wine, go for a jog, watch some movies, play video games. That's been my stress reliever as of late, playing more video games. I've damn near finished the whole Uncharted series in a week, if that. And yeah, just take care of yourself, please. For me, this is a real tough time right now, and you need all the love, including self-love especially, that you can get right now. So with that said, thank you so much for coming back to watch. I will see you in the next one. Have a great evening.